afternoon, good evening. Welcome on our EFMA webinar. My name is Urszula Wysocka. I'm a country manager for Poland and content advisor at EFMA Business Academy and Advisory. I welcome you with a big pleasure because today I think we will talk, I know we will talk about a very, very important area in the business transformation and development of our businesses. As EFMA, we support our members, we meet with our members, and we share good practices, we share knowledge from the whole world in different business areas. We talk about challenges linked with customer experience, risk management. We talk about operational management. We talk about implementation of innovations. But today we won't talk about processes. Today we will talk about people. I think that everybody agreed that we won't get the success without well-prepared people. We won't create really great business without well-prepared people. And today we would like to talk about preparing these people for the new challenges. And I think that everybody will agree that now, after very hard COVID time, after the year 2020, more and more people saying that now we are in the process of recovery. We have a lot of lessons learned from this time, and now we are starting new opening. And we need to prepare our people for this new opening, for our processes of development and transformation. And today, with my great guests, we will talk about preparing people for these challenges. But before we start our discussion, before I introduce my guest, I would like to ask for welcome words. I would like to ask our chairman, Jean-Marc Payon, head of Global Strategic Partnership at Allianz. Please, Jean-Marc.
Thank you very much. I hope you hear me loud and clear. So welcome to this great moment. We have a bit less than 1 hour to talk about the transformation mindset, how to transform the mindset of our people. Is it the key to success? On my side, I consider that it's a no-brainer. It's even more than a key to success. We have no other choice. But I'm sure that we'll have enough time to enter into more detail and to give you our opinion. Just a few words about Allianz. As you know, Allianz had also to transform its mindset. We had to challenge what we were doing since years because of this COVID crisis, but even more because of the change in the behaviors and the needs of the people, our clients, members, associated members. And because of that, we have decided to change our strategy, or to optimize our strategy, I would say it more like that, and to focus on 5 main pillars. And this is what you will continue to see in the next future, what we have already implemented. We will focus on innovation, trying to provide information, trying to provide inputs, trying to give an open place to fintech, all these companies participating to the transformation of our own work. Trends and insight, also giving inputs, giving information, providing content on the main trends, mega trends, or small trends, and giving insights. It could be on the marketing side, it could be on the regulatory side, it could be on the IT side. So we'll try to open and to cover the majority of the topics. Communities and club and collaboration. So accelerate, organize, facilitate the discussion between our members and associated members as well. And last but not least, of course, Business Academy, all what is concerning the transformation. We talk here about transformational mindset. What we can do, what we can provide, how we can accompany this transformation by providing information, content again, and accompanying this person in this difficult journey, going from the past world to the new world. How could we do that? And how could we achieve that to make it a success? So in few words, this is the strategy of MEFA, and I will give you back the stage to enter into the discussion, which is much more important than what I said.
Thank you very much, Mark. And yeah, let's go to the discussion, because I think that the topic is very important, but very big. I think that 1 hour won't be enough, but I want to tell you that it's the beginning of our discussion. And today, of course, we will talk about this topic, and we'll continue this on the next meetings. And then we'll start our discussion. And I would like to invite our great guest. I would like to welcome Przemek Gdański, CEO of BNP Paribas Poland. Good morning, Przemek.
Good morning, everybody.
I would like to welcome Andres Bianchi, Global HR Transformation Director at Santander Bank. Hello, Andres.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
And I would like to welcome Michael Ruckman, founder and CEO at Santeo Incorporated. Hello,
morning,
Michael.
everybody. Happy to
And
be
you know Jean-Marc Paillot, Head of Global Strategic Partnership Allianz Group. Hello again, Jean-Marc.
Hi again.
And me again. Of course, I will discuss with our great speakers about supporting people, about developing people and preparing people for the challenges linked with the transformation and development of our businesses. Let's start from a very important thing. Let's start from the actual situation. Now, the COVID time has made that banks and insurance companies implement the innovative projects faster, and it made them think in a different way about the business transformation or development. Can you please share your perspective with us from the organizational culture and people management perspective? Andres, can you start?
For sure, last year we had a transformation. We are pivoting from more individual oriented to more flattening structures, to more remote teams and agile initiatives. We are redefining the role also of the middle management in every organization. We're having more robust models in technology, machine learning, artificial intelligence, but also we are strengthening the need of a more skilled workforce. Therefore, we are redefining the role of the managers. In the organizational way, we are towards more platform-based organization with more global initiatives, with more global products. You know, in Santander, we are serving over millions of customers worldwide, 148 million customers worldwide in over 40 countries. But we remained until a couple of years ago in individual countries, and we are refocusing to more platform-based or regional product design and product-based initiatives. These are more, as I said, digital products and channels, but remote workforce. And we also reduce the time to react, not only to deliver products adapted to our customer needs, supporting the needs of loans, holidays, supporting businesses and families, but better pricing model adjusted and data modeling for operational changes, and also upskilling or enabling learning initiatives to our workforce. Therefore, we are toward more leaner structures, flattening structures, as I said, more agile design of products, and we are redefining the role of the middle management towards a more supporting this transitioning to and reskilling of our workforce, instead of only account of designing products or attending our customer, just mainly to reinforce the role of the manager as a leader of this transition.
Thank you, Andres. And Przemek, can you share with us your perspective?
Yes, of course. So to summarize, I will use to summarize.
Jean-Marc,
Jean-Marc,
are you? I think the question was to me.
Sorry.
Przemek, so I was getting ready, but you were asking. So,
please
well, your decision. Okay, I'll go ahead.
I was
then.
impatient. I was impatient.
Clearly, so that's fine. Thanks for the question. I'd like to talk a bit about the early COVID stage and the way our bank started operating. But before that, a couple of words about BNP Paribas. The group does not need an introduction. We are the biggest group in Europe, one of the top 10 banks in the world, very diverse, very strong, and resilient to external shocks, which the recently published results of the group confirm. Here in Poland, we have grown to become one of the biggest banks through a series of acquisitions. The last one we closed a couple of years back. We finished the integration and synergy extraction last year. So what's important in that context is that culturally, we are a sort of a mix of different cultures of the institutions that we are acquiring on the way. Now, we have been busy implementing our growth strategy, and everything was going according to plan until mid-March of 2020 when COVID came. And of course, for everybody, it was an unexpected development, unexpected event. And we quickly realized that we had to change the way we were operating. So remote work, lots of focus on health and safety of our people, then our customers. We run a relatively large branch network where customers still go. So that was our first priority. And then the next one was to continue our transformation program that we have been doing since about 2 years in a completely different setting. So instead of the traditional structure of steering committees and presentations delivered to the management board, people were asked to continue doing what they were planning on doing, plus to come up with new ideas in a remote work type environment without formalized settings, structures, slides, PowerPoint, and all that. And so the key to success was the great empowerment of the teams. We simply knew that we could not control the processes as much as we did in the past. We told the teams, come up with the best you can that would be adjusted to the prevailing reality. And it started. So first, what I'd like to mention is that within 2 weeks' time, we prepared ourselves to be a distributor of the state aid money, so-called financial shield of the Polish Development Fund, which was a big challenge, of course, not planned and done in a completely agile manner. Then we started coming up with new functionalities, again, helping our customers operating in the new reality. So we launched the video verification mechanism that allows for a fully remote account opening process. We launched as the first bank in the world, actually, the possibility of booking appointments at our branches through Booksy, which is an application traditionally used to book appointments with hairdressers and in beauty salons. But we as a bank didn't mind. It was launched very quickly. And basically, the whole organization understood that through greater empowerment and delegation, through removal of certain bureaucracy burdens, various steering committees, the requirement to produce a lot of written stuff, we managed to do more, much faster, much lighter, and the quality happens to be there. So one of the key lessons in terms of the transformation mindset that will stay with us is empower people, delegate more, control less, remove bureaucracy, remove paperwork, and things will develop faster and better. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Przemek. And Jean-Marc, can you share with us your experience from this time?
So now it's Jean-Marc from France, right?
Your turn, Jean-Marc.
Thanks, Jean-Marc. So I will summarize it with one word, and you will find some coherence with what was said previously, and this word is simplicity. What we have decided is to move the company based on this word, and in fact, it's a bit more complex, or not complex, complicated, or yes, we have one main word and 4 additional words. So it's simple, fast, transparent, lean, user-friendly. simple, fast, transparent, lean, user-friendly. Why these 5 words? Because when we did a great survey some years ago, even before the COVID crisis, we tried to understand the evolution of the market needs and behaviors. And what we have seen is that there is a huge transformation on the market. We call it even a mutation, going from a traditional world to a new world. Some people could call it a digital world, where the 5 main words were simple, fast, transparent, lean, user-friendly. So we have decided to move the company to become more simple, more fast, more lean, more user-friendly, and more simple. What means simplicity? Simplicity is everywhere. So of course, we are working on delayering. Too many hierarchical levels. So we work day after day to optimize the hierarchy to make it more lean. Second impact on the processes. We address all the processes, trying to find the simplest, the leanest way to build the future client journey. We work also on the products, exactly the same. And all of these objectives have a direct impact on the people behaviors within the company. By delivering, we give much more trust, and we want to give much more trust to the doers. There are usually too many thinkers and not enough doers, and we want to reduce the number of thinkers to increase the number of doers. So this is one of the main objectives. At the same time, we try to also to stop all these crazy meetings where you have 12 people, 15 people, 20 people attending to a meeting because it's important to attend to a meeting. If you attend to a meeting, you are responsible and accountable, which means that if you attend to a meeting, you need to arrive with a solution or you need to participate to the solution. So we try to optimize that as well. And I have to say that it's not easy because it's difficult to convince the people that not participating to the meeting is not losing power. Information has to be fluid, going through the companies. And that's why at the same time, we have increased the usage of the internal web services to make the information more available and to allow everybody to access to this information. The world is global. The company has to be global. We are operating in 77 countries in more than 60 languages, different languages. So everything has to be more fluid, has to circulate in the company, exactly like in the world with the web. So this is the way we operate, we transform the company, and doing that, we try to transform the mindset of the people. And we repeat and repeat and repeat. It has to be simple, it has to be fast, it has to be transparent, lean, user-friendly for our clients and for us as well. So it's not easy. It's a day after day work. We need impermanence to repeat and repeat and repeat this objective. And we have built to do that a very simple structure in the company, which is responsible for this simplification of the company. A very small structure, because we don't want to create a new techno structure in the company. So it's very simple, a few people, but with a lot of power. And their main objective is to lead this transformation and to put this simplicity world in the mindset of all our employees.
Thank you, Jean-Marc. I think that this question, during this question, you shared good practices. So I think that it was good opening for our discussion. And before we'll go to the next question, I would like to ask our participants to ask the questions. I see that the first question appeared. We'll come back to these questions at the end of our discussion, because I wouldn't want to interrupt, but I see that they are very, very interesting. And as you said, as you, Andres, Przemek, and Jean-Marc, as you said, you had to make, during the last time, you had to make a very fast transformation of the way of working, and also of the way of thinking of people, of the attitude for their work. But also, I think that you also agree with me that the process of transformation of the businesses, of the banks, of the insurance companies, was started before COVID. Now it is now faster. And of course, now I think we've got really great lessons how we would like to continue our process of transformation. And then I would like to ask Michael. Michael, from your perspective, what is the most difficult and important part in the process of transformation? You had a great experience in working in the financial institutions in the whole world on different stages of the transformation. Can you please share with us what is the most difficult?
Yeah, I'd like to be able to say that I worked in the whole world, but I've done probably about 30 different countries. I've done projects, and almost all of them largely related to change and guiding change in organizations. And I think Jean-Marc touched on a very interesting concept, which is the difference between complexity and complicated. Complicated are things that we may not understand how they work, but the results are more or less predictable. People, on the other hand, are complex, where we also don't understand how the nature of people's behavior, but often the same input can generate multiple outputs. And often in those situations, we have to test and learn and understand how the organization will react. And I think the overall thing that I probably learned after 25, 26 years now of doing these kind of change and transformation projects is that change and transformation is probably about 25% about how you manage a program and about 75% about how you deal with people. And so you kind of, as a change manager, you become almost a psychologist of trying to understand the nature of behavior and why people are resisting and why people are, for something or against it and so on. And so we often come to these situations where we have two things, trying to understand the players and trying to understand the environment. So inside of a company, is the environment wired for change or not? Is the environment set up for people to own a project and have autonomy and make mistakes within their project, but fix them and learn from them, to communicate and collaborate within their team and with other teams, and to have the ability to experiment and receive criticism without it tearing down their world, and so if the environment is kind of wired correctly, organizations will have a better chance at guiding change, because that creates this kind of, let's say, the collective mentality. And then when we look at individuals, we can go all the way back to 1962, Everett Rogers, who did the law of diffusion of innovation. And I think everybody's heard of this, where you have 2.5% of the population that are innovators. They're the people that are thinking up new ideas. 13.5% are the early adopters. They'll follow without much proof that it's going to be successful. Then you get 34% of people who are the early majority, 34% that are the late majority, and 16% that are the laggards, the people who will never believe it. And if you think about this, it's, the innovators are the ones that slept outside the Apple store to get the new iPhone on the first day. The early adopters got their new iPhone a month or two after. The early majority probably bought their iPhone in the first quarter of the next year. The late majority, they got an iPhone 7 when an iPhone 11 is out. And then your laggards still have like a Nokia flip phone or something like that. So understanding these individuals and the environment, one of the things that we learn very quickly is that we can't work on consensus. We have to build teams for change around the people who get it and are willing to move with it. And so we look at the law of diffusion of innovation as how quickly people will adopt new ideas. The same thing works in change projects, is how we can build teams that are motivated and ready to move without the constraints of doubt and resistance and so on. So there's about 50% of the organization that you use to structure your project teams, and the other 50% that you have to just move out of the way. Otherwise, they cause problems. So people are the biggest issue.
Yeah. You are right. Thank you very much, Michael. And when we talk about the transformation, when we talk about the challenges in the transformation, I think that you will agree that one of the main important thing is creating the organizational culture. And I would like to ask Przemek, how do you create organizational culture? I can share that I come from Poland, and I look at your way of creating the organizational culture at the banks. I'm really impressed. I see that people would love working with you and they love doing great projects. Can you share with us what you are doing, that they want to do it and they are not afraid of the whole process of transformation?
Well, thanks for your comment. Of course, it's not always easy, and not everybody is relaxed when working with us. But indeed, I see the bank changing, and usually people claim it's for the better, though there is a long way ahead of us. There are small things and there are big things. Okay, let me start with the smaller things. First, it's important to build an open, transparent, direct, non-hierarchical culture. And a small thing in that respect is that everybody in our bank, and we employ well over 8,000 people, is on a first name basis, which in Poland is not that obvious, but it makes it easier if, I'm Przemek for, a cashier, as well as for my senior managers, and vice versa. Among small things, when I arrived at the bank, I started the tradition of having monthly lunches with people. Every month I send an invitation to everybody. Whoever wants to have lunch with me is more than welcome. We randomly select 10 participants, excluding managers. If they apply, they know they shouldn't apply. So before COVID, it was a physical encounter. During COVID, it's virtual lunch, but we still provide food to the doorsteps of the participants. And basically, we talk about making the bank a better place. And after the initial uneasiness, people tend to open up and really give very important feedback. But what's important is that we do follow up on that feedback. And then we report it back to the individual, say, hey, we've managed to change something because you gave us a very valid suggestion. My colleagues from the senior leadership team started a similar tradition. They do breakfasts, a couple of them, plus people who are interested, and that facilitates an open dialogue and a feedback giving as well as taking culture. We do regular pulse checks about what's going on in the bank. People tell us what they like, what they dislike. We discuss it among first our management team and then down in the organization. And then every time we get feedback, we try to fix things or improve things based on that feedback. Again, in the scope of relatively small things, I always tell our people, we want to build a test and learn culture. And that's, I think, very important. People are being aware that if they look for a new solution and it's a mistake and it doesn't work, it's not a problem. It's actually an important lesson based on which we'll do something different better the next time. But there is no way anybody trying out new things and failing to be punished. To the contrary, oftentimes those people are praised as helping the organization to learn. Someone said, and I cannot remember who that was, that failure is a success deferred. And that's something I find pretty simple yet powerful. And that's the cultural element we are instincting into the organization. Now, one example of a bigger thing, last year we decided to transform a solid part of the organization into true agile setup. We call it Agile at Scale. So everyone who is today working in so-called change the bank or the delivery organization will soon work in a different setup with tribes, squads, chapters, much more empowerment, much more engagement. So we are in the process of, we've almost designed the setup and we will soon move into the practical implementation of it. So for a solid part of the organization, that means a massive change. And for the rest of the organization, that means capturing the right cultural elements like empowerment, like taking responsibility, taking ownership, being allowed to decide, prioritize, and manage. So, cultural aspects is always a combination of small things and big things. But if you cannot do the small things right and with true passion, authenticity, the bigger things are not likely to work well. Thank you.
Very much. Thank you. Andres, and I would like to ask you about managing the very big international bank. I had the pleasure to work at Santander Bank, and I felt all the time, that we are, at Poland, we are part of a big international group. Can you share with us how do you manage to create the organizational culture at the international area? When I think that we know that our culture, the culture of the different regions is different. So how can you manage, and because you are also doing really great inspiring organizational culture for the Santander.
Okay, well, as Przemek mentioned, that we also were built from local bank in Spain, going towards 200,000 workers worldwide, with a large organization in Brazil, Chile, Argentina, and well, almost 10 largest countries in the organization, with 2 different cultures, not only due to the regional reasons, but also with the history of those entities. We acquired ABI in UK, we acquired Sovereign in US, Zachodny in Poland, and so on. That was meant to become a large global, but the main change that we initially had is mainly to deliver operational efficiency. It's not a cultural one. We built operational efficiency, and that was the starting point of our culture. In the last 5 years, 6 years, we've switched towards a more culture-oriented, let's say, and we switched from what we were delivering to our customer to how we are going to deliver those. And as as in Allianz, we rebuilt our culture towards a simple, personal, fair culture, and that simplification of our processes and our approach with the customers brought that kind of umbrella, not only the branding, but the umbrella for this cultural transformation changes. And also Santander still is a set of affiliates. It's not only a single-handedly organization, as maybe our fintechs, our competitors are going towards more globally oriented organization, but we empower this diversity. We empower this kind of diversity. Actually, in some extent, our Brazilian colleagues are more innovative than our Nordics colleagues in some areas, but still we need to empower this kind of diversity, and we empower this how this is delivered worldwide. In our projects, we mainly redefine this in a different way. We define that, well, this is not a Santander for sure word, but we usually use this kind of IKEA effect. Have you heard about the IKEA effect, where all the customers, all the users place a disproportionately high value on the things they created. Therefore, we are relying on this consensus that is built across units. Recently, we are deploying now a major project. This is one of the major projects that we are delivering in Santander, is the implementation of a change in the whole HR delivery model. And this is done with this kind of IKEA effect in place. We are leveraging insiders. We are not building this from the corporate headquarters and into the countries. We are building this all together. This is more convoluted. We need to learn from the countries. We need to discuss everything single item, but we define this model with all the countries in place. This consensus was built with them, but we also leverage insiders. We rely on the knowledge and we rely on the powerful people that we have in every country with different approaches and different consensus. And we also deliver that, well, you already heard that if you want to go fast, you can go alone. But if you want to go to take to a far place, you need to go together. And this is the way we deal in Santander with that kind of we are rebuilding this way of working with our projects. We are delivering this in the platform base, as I said, global platform instead of local delivery models, but we still need to rely on local entities for capital structures, risk management to some extent, and for sure regulatory and go-to-market activities. But we refocus on this kind of elements, empowering that kind of diversity. This is an asset for us. This is not a challenge, but as Michael said, that we have different people, different cultures, different way of working, different mindset, but this diversity is bringing some asset for us, and this is also helping to learn from different countries, as I said, and also we refocus the culture towards a brutal empathy for the customer, and this is we need to design the customer experience from the outside in, and this is something that most of our frontline workers really know, and this is that usually in the headquarters we are not as empathic our frontline workers, and therefore we need to rely more on themselves instead of our single-handedly projects, consultants, external resources. We empower the change from within. This is the key element.
Thank you very much, Andres. And I see that our participants prepared for us really great questions. But first, I will start from the questions to our participants. I would like to share a poll question for all the participants of the webinar, and I would like to ask you to answer which are the key competencies that you would need to upskill, reskill, develop people in your institution. Multiple choice, so please check what you think from your perspective. I see that all the time our participants are answering. Thank you very much for this. So it will be a very good perspective and picture for us. I see that all the time people are voting. Okay, I think that we can stop now. Oh no. Okay, I need to stop because I see that all the time somebody votes. Thank you for taking part in the voting. I will share with you the results. And what are the results? I think that the biggest and the most important competence is active learning with a growth mindset. So I'm happy to see it. It's the confirmation for us that we prepared a good topic for our webinar and for our meeting. And maybe Michael, can you please comment these results? Can you please share with us what competencies and knowledge people need to have to guide successful change in financial institutions, according to these results and according, of course, to your knowledge?
Well, it's interesting because if you ask that question probably even 10 years ago, people would say general management skills, project management skills, the ability to kind of correct mistakes and catch them early and things like that. And I think a lot of companies understand now the need for adaptivity and the need, if you look back 100 years, the whole goal was to build a business model that's stable and then you don't change anything and you protect it. Now, I think with globalization and digitization, we all understand that we need to build something that's going to evolve in the next day. So the organization is in a constant state of change, and building this mindset in the organization is actually quite tough. So, the skill sets that people need are more around the foundational elements of understanding human behavior and inspiration and influence and things like that. And if you look at our brain, I mean, the parts of our brain that control our behavior were developed 50 to 100,000 years ago, depending on which theorist you want to believe. And over the last 70 to 100 years, there have been 11 Nobel Prizes on game theory, cognitive theory, and all of the different scientific elements of how we take decisions and how we behave in different situations. And I would say those foundational elements in psychology and understanding human behavior, and taking those into developing leadership skills, the ability to inspire, influence, guide, support, and so on, that's a much more powerful skill set. So the emotional intelligence that people answered, the leadership skills, communication skills, understanding that there's always something more to learn. I mean, the whole idea that people think they've written, well, now I finally know everything and I'll just ride this for the rest of my career. That doesn't work anymore. There's always something new that's popping up. And I think really that the whole thing, understanding that there are two things in business that are impossible to manage. One of them is change, and the other one is developing corporate culture. Those are two things that you can only guide. You can guide them, you can work on creating the right environment, you can work on planting the seeds and taking care of the growing things in the environment. But once you try to manage, they become unmanageable. So creating the right environment, using these leadership skills, bringing people together, creating a vision of mutual benefit and stimulating collaboration amongst teams, that becomes the skill set that's driving in any adaptive or any organization that's going to be in a constant state of change. That has to drive the mindset.
Thank you very much, Michael. As you know, I prepared more questions for you, but our participants prepared really great, also have really great questions. So if you don't mind, I will read the questions from our audience. First question. Hello, companies have transformation office to reinforce transformation centrally. However, individual transformation is so important. If each employee believes in transformation, it will be corporate culture. How can personal transformation of each employee be succeed, especially from physical side, psychological side? Can you please answer? Who would like to answer on this question?
I could start. It's a continuation of what I was just saying, because really, if you're, and I guess fortunately or unfortunately, I've been the guy in charge of these transformation offices, a number of projects, and I think it comes down to the focus of how you want to manage the development or the movement of a transformation. If the transformation office is focused on managing a program, it's very likely to be a failure, and about 70% of transformation projects end up in failure or in some degree of disappointment based on the original plans. If we want things to be successful, the transformation office has to be focused on creating the right environment and empowering the people that are going to drive this and cascade it through the organization. And so giving the right tools, creating the right environment, helping the people to transform themselves as they go through. You can force a transformation in an organization, but if you don't evolve the mindset of the people along the way, you're going to have a dysfunctional workforce with a shiny new organization. And the conflict that ensues from that is almost like a disease. So you'll have high staff turnover, a lot of infighting, a lot of conflict in the organization, and so on. So really guiding these large change programs, whether it's digital or corporate culture or business model, or everybody's struggling with the change from product-centric organizations to customer-centric organizations, because it's a mindset change more than anything else. And so creating the right environment and giving people the tools and the environment to evolve along the way, together with the change, is kind of the key to success. Sorry if I took too much time. Give somebody else a chance.
No, thank you. Thank you. And we've got another question. The next...
May I add something? Sorry,
Yeah.
just on that, because we are talking about transformation. We never have to forget why we have to transform ourselves, and I think it's important. We usually talk about the law of evolution. We are in a phase where the world has drastically moved. And if we don't transform ourselves, we will die. So it's a question of staying alive. And to do that, we have to convince our managers and our employees that it's a no-brainer. We have to move and we have to transform ourselves. And to transform ourselves means for them to transform themselves. And if we want to be successful, and this is what we try to apply, and what, by the way, I've done several times in the past, I think it's based on two words very important: vision. Give the vision to the people and be extremely precise in the vision on what we want to become. And secondly, trusting the people who will do this transformation. And if you want to be successful, just to give you one experience I had, I call that democrature. It's a mix in between democracy and dictator. When you have built the vision, asking the people to participate, sharing this transformation, sharing the objective, sharing the vision. When the vision is defined, it has to be a bit like a dictator. Because if you leave the people alone, giving them the impression that they can do what they want, at the end of the day, it will be a failure. So it's a vision, it's trust. So two words a bit different: give the vision and trust the people. And on the other side, ask the people to participate, exactly what Santander has done and what was said previously. Ask everybody to participate, but when the vision is defined, when the strategy is written, everybody has to do it, everybody has to implement it, and has to transform himself to be coherent with this strategy and this vision.
Thank you very much, Mark. We don't have much time, but I would like to ask two more questions. Przemek, this is the question for you. Przemek, you are talking about Agile at scale. How do you think that the Agile principles are compatible with current lockdowns? And more, how to solve it in the future? Thanks, Jakub.
An interesting question, but let me start with saying that the Agile transformation is not something lockdown pandemic driven, and it's not just for the time when we are somehow locked down. It's for much, much longer, and we would have done it irrespective of the current situation. In a way, interestingly enough, I believe that the pandemic has helped people to operate spontaneously or semi-spontaneously in a more agile manner than before. They had to get together, they had to be empowered as they were, and they had to deliver quick solutions, even if they were imperfect in the first round, and then correct them as we went along. The Agile transformation that we are implementing is something more structured and more serious and far more lasting than just to kind of bring us from now till the end of the lockdowns, pandemic, and all the challenges that are unexpected, which, by the way, may never go away completely. I use the word structured, even though it's not really affiliated with Agile. Agile is, however, a structured setting where people work together differently, where people from very different parts of the organization, the traditional organization, are put together in a new type of structures where they are empowered, where they are expected to define the priorities and really deliver new solutions quicker than before. For us, maybe it's important to mention that the Agile transformation has 4 key priorities, but the number one is to shorten time to market. So in other words, to be able to deliver new solutions or better upgraded solutions faster than in the traditional waterfall project management method. So don't think of Agile in the context of the lockdown. It's a change that is to stay. It's a change that will impact the rest of the organization. Perhaps, and we'll see about that, will be enlarging the scope of our Agile transformation beyond what we have defined as the delivery organization, as I expect that people who will not be directly working in the Agile setting may want to change more drastically, more seriously the way they operate today. So it's a big adventure, and really, I'm looking forward to implement it, to champion it, and to get benefits of it well beyond the lockdown reality.
Thank you very much, Przemek. And Andres, I've got the question for you. In the new world, there is a need to upskill and reskill the existing employees to cope with the transformation. How can this initiative succeed in traditional industries such as banking, where roles has been the same for decades? How can employees be supported in this journey? What to do with the expected resistance to change?
I would go one step back on this. This is not to have a philosophic approach, but we said that the main approach is not only the methodologies, the hard knowledge that we can deliver to our workers. For sure, we need to redeploy or reskill over 40% of our workers, but that will be happening across remote day-to-day on our families, in our daily activities ourselves. We are not behaving as an employee different than that. We might need to behave as a family member. For our own decisions, we make this on a digital way. We make these decisions quickly. We go and gather information and rely on some lack of the whole information. This is against what we usually do in an organization. We are removing the human side when we get introduced to a structured organization. So the main focus should be on the growth mindset that we discussed that in the presentation, also in the survey you made. The growth mindset should be implemented to everyone, independently of the skill you need to reinforce, or you need to redeploy to our workers. So this would need to help our workers to be more resilient and hopeful, for sure, not only to focus on the deliverables or the outcome of the product they need to deliver, but also to be more hopeful and to be more curious, empowered to iterate and to be more inclusive as well. And this is changing the mindset. I would say that this should be done from the top of the organization. We need to sponsor this kind of initiatives worldwide. Our chairwoman is Ana Botín. It's a great example, going every single week to a branch in our units, to go to our communities. Our regional heads as well are going and having this kind of open discussion and open books discussion with our organization. Therefore, we are challenging these growth behaviors in our organization. That will be the first point. The second point is to have a structured models. Our competitors are doing this, and this is our mirrors, not what we did in the past, but what we are going to be in the future. If we are having a 150 years bank, but we want to have a 300 years bank, for that purpose, we need to re-envision what we are doing, delivering every day. But this is inherent to everyone in our own mindset as a human, but this is not inherent to our mindset as an employee. Therefore, we need to swap to a more human and not more an organization-oriented, a more structure oriented that we were in the past. So the growth mindset would be a growth behaviors would be the keystone for this transformation, and this is reskilling activities.
Thank you, Andres. I see that Przemek also would like to join for answering this question.
Just a short remark, actually not to answer the question, but to challenge it. I personally believe that banking is an industry that has dramatically changed over the years. I've been in this business for 30 years, worked for several banks in a few different countries, and I cannot even think of roles that are the same as they were before. So to me, change is an element of the industry that has been with us for a long time and will stay with us going forward. So I think more and more people working for banks understand that change is with us to stay, and we have to adjust and adapt to the ever-changing reality of our industry, which will continue.
Thank you very much. As I said at the beginning, I knew that this topic is so important and so big that we won't be able to discuss all the points during our one hour meeting, but We will continue this. We'll continue during our next webinars, and we'll continue at our individual interviews with my guests. And before we go for summarizing, we'll just summar and comment our webinar. I would like to ask my guest for just one sentence. This one sentence, because we have no time, but in one sentence, what you would like to recommend for the other managers in transformation the mindset of people. Let's start. Jean-Marc, can you please start?
To the manager, you said.
Yeah.
I would said be confident and trust your people.
Thank you very much, Andres.
Well, that I will repeat myself. I will copy myself what I said before. Mainly to work towards a more growth mindset and growth behaviors. This empower the curiosity, empowerment, iteration, and inclusiveness of your team members. And this is the key part of this is independently of the methodology we're following. We discuss agile frameworks, we discuss product management to deliver some initiatives, but growth and the curiosity and empowerment, inclusiveness will deliver the best results in your team. And be transparent, as Jean-Marc said, there would be a key part of it as well, to be open books with your team.
Thank you very much, Andres. And Przemek?
I would say empower your people and build a culture where failing is something that is praised as an important learning component of the reality.
Thank you very much. And Michael?
I was asked a question yesterday in a meeting. If I had to choose one tool that I could take with me out of an entire toolkit for any universal trying to guide change or trying to guide transformation anywhere, what would I take? And I said I would have to take education as a tool. Because education provides a foundation for all of the things that I talked about guiding change. Through education, I can help people to see what the world could be like. I can use it as an inspiration tool. I can use it as a guidance tool. I can use it as a way to identify the gaps between a person's current level of knowledge, skills, and abilities, and where they should be for a particular position. So I think education is probably one of the most important tools and should never be underestimated in any change program. And one of the questions that I saw was, is change management an oxymoron or transformation management? And I would have to agree 100%, because it's one of those things that if you try to manage it, it becomes unmanageable. so I would guide change using education, inspiration, guidance, support, things like that.
Thank you very much, Michael. And I would like to ask our CEO of EFMA, John Barry, for the final comments of our today's discussion.
Thanks, Ursula. Let me first of all thank all of the contributors for the outstanding contributions this morning. You're right, getting all of these issues debated within a 1-hour environment is a real challenge, quite frankly. But the insights, the passion with which they put forward their points is really valuable. I think what's interesting as well is that we talk about transformation, and to some extent, excuse me, to some extent, transformation is seen in some quarters as relatively new. It's about 20 years ago that I was transformation director of ABI before the Santander acquisition. And during that period of time, things have changed dramatically. What we're seeing is an industry that is under significant pressure from outside, from the competition, from other industries. The people who are our customers are exposed to so many other aspects of activity, which is shaping the need for these organizations to change. But what's interesting is COVID in a way has brought a lot of this to focus. The speed required for change has encouraged huge amounts of innovation. It's encouraged the removal of barriers, the opportunity to streamline processes, get less paperwork, make swift decisions for the benefit of the customer and for the ownership of the organization itself. I think what's been interesting as well is how the cultural issues are so fundamentally at the core of success, creating that clarity of vision so that everybody in the organization knows the destination, knows their role that they have to play. They're there as part of a big team of people in an environment where speed is important, where you create an environment where, as management, you need to be transparent with the way things are going. Certainly comments around making mistakes. Historically, making mistakes in a bank was not something that people wanted at all. To me, the best environments are now where you learn from those mistakes. You know, we learn from our mistakes as children. Somehow as we become an adult and move into a banking environment, we don't make the mistakes because we like to be punished. But that's where significant learning can be delivered. I think as an organization industry, we've got an opportunity to empower the people, change the structures, change the rewards and the incentives that sit alongside it, to create a world where you're making it a great place to work, upskilling people to react to the new world that operates is something which is so important for the people that are the brand that is the bank these days. I'm keen in a way to see more of these sort of events going forward. I think today's been a great success, and that's down to the contributions of those that have taken part. So to each and every one of you, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, John.
Thank you.
And I think that's a very good final of our discussion. Today's discussion we'll be sharing with you our initiative, great initiatives and events that we prepared for all the participants. And I would like to invite Philip van Grachen, who will head of EFMA Business Academy, who will share with you our new initiative. I will share the slides.
Thank you so much, Ula. And again, congratulations to the panelists, because you've made a great summary of thoughts during a small hour. So indeed, if we look next, we understand that every institution is busy with business transformation and reskilling, upskilling of people. So we heard this from the members in the last discussion. That's why we were requested by the board and the member to create the EFMA Business Academy and Advisory Division. What is it? It is using some great experts, and I think you heard today Michael, who is one of our main experts in the initiative. We will use those experts to bring, insightful knowledge transfer in some learning, training, courses, experience, and we will combine this with all the case studies, best practices, and practitioners' life testimonials which we can bring. And that makes probably something quite unique, because in addition to every company which gives training like you can see often on the market, we bring a lot of case studies and people who have done it, who can come from an international perspective in those sessions that we build for this service. Those services are pay on demand and reserved for members. And if we look at the next slide, then we see the 3 blocks of services that we have. We will have Master Academy, which are addressing business topic like the hot one, customer experience, digital sales, AI, etc. Then we have a block related to personal and soft skills, leadership and coaching, really helping how to deal with this. And we have another one which is called advisory services. So if we go next, then we can see the different topics that we can handle. And no surprise, those are the hot topics of the moment of the industry, as you can see those. So I would really like to invite you, if we go next slide, to come to join to the next webinar, which will be in 2 weeks' time exactly. And we will address then the leadership point of view when looking at transformation and people. And also we'll touch what is probably less the case today, the coaching skills that you might need for your managers and people in the organization. So join us in 2 weeks' time, another great panel, and I give back the word to Ula now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Philip. And I would like to thank you, my great guests, Thank you for, it was a pleasure to have you as speakers and guests. And I would like to thank you for really great inspirations, sharing good practices. And I'm sure that we'll continue our discussion. I would like to invite my guests for the other meetings and for the interviews. So I think that we will meet in a very short future. So thank you very much for today's meeting, and thank you very much for all the participants. Please forgive me that I couldn't ask all the questions. All of them were very interesting, but this is the limit of time. So thank you very much for today, and see you on the next meeting. Thank you.